Hello friends, this is Bright here. In this video, I am going to explain how to develop service in Android or what is service in Android. If you look at service, we can see this is a very important component in Android like activity. So what is the basic difference between a normal activity and service is the activity you can see it is running in the foreground, but in the normally the service will be running in the background. For example, a download operation, and this service doesn't have any user interface component, and the service can come in two forms. The one is called started and another one is called bound. So we'll see in the further slides. So what is a started and what is bound? To start a service, we can simply call the method start service. So once it is started, that service can run in the background indefinitely, even if the started activity is destroyed. Suppose I have an activity, I am launching that activity. So in that activity, I have a component to start or to play a song. Even you exit from that activity, you can see that you can listen to that song. That is what is called it can run in the background even if the component that started it is destroyed. So here you can see you are downloading or uploading a file over the network. When the operation is done, the service will stop itself. So we will see how it should be implemented. The next form of service is bound. We can say that one service is bound to a particular activity. For that, we have to call a method called bind service, and this will help us to interact with the service. So in the next video, we'll be discussing about the bound type. So this is the life cycle of the service. You can see in the left hand side, this is the first form, that is the unbounded service, and the right hand side you can see the bounded service. So in the case of unbounded service, you can see how it is started. To start that service, we have to call the method start service. At that time, the onCreate method of the service will be invoked, which leads to the invocation of onStart command. Then we can say that the service in the running state. Then you can see the next one, that is before the onDestroy. You can see some label like this. The service is stopped by itself or a client. Suppose you just want to play a song. The moment it is finished, we can say that service is stopped, or in between we can force the service to stop by calling a method called stop service. Then so once it is over, the onDestroy method is invoked. We can say that the service is shut down. So in the onDestroy, we can perform some cleanup operations or shutdown activities. In the case of call to bind service, there is no need to call start service. We have to call just the bind service, which leads to the invocation of onCreate, then onBind. At that time, it will be bound to the particular activity. Then to remove that, we can call the onUnbind. Then again, if you want to rebind, call the rebind. Then so once everything is over, then we can see that the onDestroy method will be invoked. So what about the onCreate? This is the first method which is invoked when you call either by using start service or the bind service, and this will be invoked only in the initial state. And the flow is like this. In the case of start service, from your activity you will be calling start service. That leads to the invocation of onStart command. Then we can say that the service starts and runs indefinitely in the background. So that is the flow from start service through onCreate to onStart command. So when you implement this onStart command, remember that you have to stop the service. Either call the method stop self or stop service. So in the demonstration part, I will explain how to do it. And regarding the onBind, this is the flow. From the activity, we have to call only the bind service, no need to call the start service. So the bind service leads to the invocation of onBind. At that time, we can see that the service is bound to the activity. Then finally, the onDestroy, you can perform some cleanup activities. And this is the last call the service receives. And ask how do we specify the information about the activity in the manifest file. Like that, we have to give the information about the service in the Android manifest.xml file. So within the application, you have to say that service, the Android name equal dot example service. It is just like adding an activity. Okay, so let us see a demo how to create a service. So here I am using the Android Studio. The version is 2.2. This is the latest version as per the date today now, and the look and feel is better than the older versions. So I am starting a new Android Studio project. Some name we can give, for example, service demonstration. Click next. So you may click next. I am taking an empty activity. Next. So I'm going ahead with the default activity name and the default layout name and click finish. Yes. Now the project is ready. So the files are loaded. And this is my activity main.xml file. This is the text mode, and here is my design mode. So I have some rendering issue. Let me refresh. Yes, fine. This is a new feature in Android Studio 2.2. We can see the design here, and this part shows what is this common. For example, hello world is the text field like that, and what is the relative, what is the layout type. So it's very interesting thing. So let me zoom in. So I'm going to delete it. Just select and press delete, and you can see the widgets, text fields. So I'm going to take a button, dragging and dropping it here, and I want to label it as start service. So just double tap over here, then here you can see the properties, and you may type, for example, start service. Press enter. You can see that it is getting updated, but still you can see the ID remains button. So to change it, you can see button. So for example, you can say start and press enter, and you can see that it is updated. Now I am going to use one more button, that is just to stop the service. Tap over here, and you can see stop service. And to change the ID, you can give, for example, stop. So now we have two buttons, one for starting the service and another to stop the service. Now I am going to the main activity. we have to find these buttons. For that button, I'm going to say that start and one for stop. And now I'm going to find these buttons. Start with the necessary typecast. If you don't know how to do it, please watch my previous videos. Find v by id r dot id dot start, like find the stop button, find v by id r dot id dot stop. Now do the event handling for start and stop. Event handling for start service button. For that, start dot set on click listener new, press control space and locate where the on click listener is coming. You may press enter. You can see the anonymous inner class is automatically generated. So here you need to code for starting the service. It may be playing a song, anything. And next, perform event handling for stop service button. For that, stop dot set on click listener new on click listener. Then you can see here you need to code to stop the service. Now the activity is ready. We have to create service now. To create service, what you have to do is right click over the package and select new, and like activity, how do you create an activity? We have another component called service, and you can see service and indent service. If you want to perform long running job through the service, then you have to go for, it is better you can go for indent service. To smaller job you can go for this service, and you can see my service, or if you want we can change the name also. I'm not going to change anything. Click finish. As I have mentioned in the beginning of this session that service doesn't have any user interface, so no need to create, this is the service class, no need to create any XML file for designing that. So there is no user interface, only a Java file. And this is the package, you can see that. So every service class, it must be a subclass of either service or indent service. So here in this case, it is a subclass of service. And this is used for the second form of service, that is bounded type. But right now we are not going to use it. So let us go back to the PPT, and here we have certain lifecycle methods on create, on start command and on destroy. So we are going to see these lifecycle methods right now. So just press control space and we can see the on start command. And on create also we have to do, we can do that. On create, then the next one we can go for the on destroy. So these three methods are overdone right now. So we can put some log information, or we can put some toast to see that which one is invoked initially. So here I am going to create a log message, log dot information. The tag I am going to say that my log going to say like this, on create in service. So here in on start command, you can see that there are some arguments, the indent, flags and start ID. So right now I am not going to explain what about these arguments. So please wait for that. Here also I am going to put some log information, log.I. I am going to say that my log, and here I am going to say that on start command in service. Then on destroy also I am going to put it, just copying and pasting here, on destroy in service. So once again we have overridden three methods, one on create, on start command and on destroy method. So now the service class is ready. So we are going back to the main activity. Now we are in the main activity. You can see main activity.java. So here we are going to write the code to start the service. To start the service, again we need the indent object. So first create an indent object, new, indent, and say get the application context and which class to be invoked. For that, our service class, its name is my service class. My service is the class name and specify with the extension as my service.class. And now we have to start that service. Normally to start an activity we call the method start activity. But here instead of that we have to call the method like this, start service. You can see that this is the method, the start service. So inside we have to pass the indent object. The start service, your object name is indent. That's all. As I told you earlier that if you are overriding the on start command method, we have to stop the service when its work is done, either by calling the stop self or stop service. So right now I am going to show how to use the stop service method. For that it is very easy. Just call stop service. Again you can see the indent object is needed. So I'm creating the indent object now. Indent equal new indent, and again get the application context. What is your service class name? And pass that indent object into the stop service method. So this is to start the service and this is to stop the service. Okay. And I will show you the manifest file, but you should know what are the informations there. You can see that this is automatically inserted by the Android Studio. Android :name equal .my service. Okay. Now let me run the code. I am using my mobile as my emulator. My APK is getting installed. Now the activity is launched. Now I am taking my Android monitor tab, and here you can see my tag name for log is my log. So that is information. So here you can select info and the tag name my log, and here you need to specify my emulator as well as mobile phone, both are in a running mode, so specify which one. So here it is HTC One. Okay. Now I am going to click start service, and you can see that first on create in service, then followed by on start command in service. Now I am going to click the stop service. Now only you can see that on destroy is invoked. Now I am going to clear my recent apps, so that is removed. I am going to run that app once again. So our app name is service demonstration. So once again click the start service. You can see that the on create and on start command is invoked. Suppose now I am closing it by clicking the back button. You can see that is not yet invoked. I am going to clear my recent apps, and still you can see that the on destroy is not at all getting invoked. So what we have to do is, as I told you earlier, that if you implement the on start command, either stop the service by calling stop self or stop service. So you can see in this code, the moment I click the stop service, you can see that the on destroy method is invoked, because in our main activity we are calling the stop service. So how will you use the stop self method? So now I'm not going to click the stop. So for that I'm taking the myservice.java. So this is the place where you can see that once the on start command is invoked, we can say that the service in the running mode. So once the job everything is done, for example it may be a file download, so once our required stuff is done, then we can directly call the method stop self. Now I will show you what is my running status. So let me run it again. So it is again running. Yes. Now see, I am going to, okay, let me take the Android monitor also. Yeah. Clicking the start service, you can see that we are getting the expected, because on create first, then on start command, then here you can see that immediately the stop self is invoked. So on destroy in service is invoked. So this is the lifecycle method demonstration for service. Thank you for watching this.